Welcome to Art for Life, presents Mai's Meditations. I'm Maya Larson, artist, but you can call me Mai. Make for me a home with no roof, with windows but no glass, that I may lay my body down to be drenched in the delight of everything, was a poem I made for a prompt by Celine Aswell in her Human Needs course for nonviolent communication. It's a fabulous course. I definitely recommend you look into it. But it asked you to connect with your needs for the earth. And this is a very important question that I think a lot of us are avoiding, or with climate change and all of the guilt associated with what's happening on the planet. It's just better to not connect. But unfortunately, that doesn't always work. I created a podcast on Anchor FM this fall, as I find video and voice challenging, and 2019 is to face down those challenges. So right now I was building ideas for my podcast. What do I want to talk about? What kind of art or artist activities? And in asking myself all those questions, I quickly discovered I wanted to ask other artists those questions as well as myself. I wanted to ask about why you create. Why do you get out of bed to do it in the mornings? So I thought, well, I need to start listening to know what I want to ask. So I explored a little bit of what's available out on Anchor, and I still have lots more to do. But I caught a podcast featuring the work of Bob Ross by Nathan Bradley and Justin Croft. And in one of their episodes, they were talking about Bob Ross's landscapes, and that he never really seemed to do a lot of portraits, and maybe he just wasn't good at portraits. But that kind of set a light bulb off for me. I find it hard to believe that Bob Ross wasn't any good at portraits, but maybe his method, or the reason, his motives for creating landscapes, was a little more spiritual than practical. Portraits and landscapes are just concepts. The practical element of brush to canvas remains the same. It's just your perspective that is the fluid element. So when I work with groups creating creative landscapes, we often turn the canvas sideways or upside down, and watching Bob Ross growing up taught me that you seldom paint a tree like you would see a tree grow. When I watched as a kid, my mind was blown the way he made trees, and it had no didn't seem to jive with the way that you grew up looking at a tree. So art really does change the perspective, and I think that's what Bob was offering. I feel he wanted to share how to connect with the earth. There's a joy that comes when you feel as an artist that you've been able to paint or represent what you see in front of you, especially in nature and how beautiful it is. There is a definite reward for the person painting a landscape when you sit back and see that you can carry something beautiful from what you're looking at and give it back. I know that I paint landscapes to help me explore my connection with heaven in earth. The more I've sat down to paint landscapes over the last few months, especially in the dead of winter when there's no color, the more color I see. It has helped interrupt the old programming, enable new perspectives to emerge, and help me change how I observe nature from a different perspective. I think the human portrait is just another landscape, and it doesn't necessarily require some special skill to paint, just the perspective to see it in the right way. When I'm ready to see a human being, they will explode into view for me. I know that that's just how it works.